Click the intro now.
Oh,
there it goes.
A little technical.
Like it did a warp type of thing. That was new.
All right, hang with us 1 second, folks. Novice at the keyboard.
Awesome.
Going, everybody? How's it going? Thanks for coming. So we had a game yesterday, and if you didn't see it, I don't know where you're at or who you're watching, but I definitely think that our game was the game to watch. So, first off, let me introduce everybody. We got Aaron up on top. If you don't know Aaron, then you haven't been on YouTube. We got David McNiner. If you don't know David McNiner, they've never been in a 49er chat before because David's everywhere. And now we got Ty to my Ty to my right, maybe your left, depending, right? And Ty's awesome as well. Ty's at games. Ty is always on channels, and he's in different people's panels, and and then you got me. And with a face like this, if you don't recognize this, then hey, you won't miss me, right? So, guys, we played the Pittsburgh Steelers, and saying you played the Pittsburgh Steelers is, I think, maybe an understatement. We went to the game, and I don't know if they showed up, and I think that's being as nice as possible. I just think it was not a normal opening week, especially against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are usually a formidable opponent, but this time something just didn't. I think they overlooked us, and I think they underestimated us. I think at a certain point they had five 3 and outs. They didn't have more than 1 yard of total offense at one point in the game, and
the first half.
The entire first half, yep.
Yeah, if it wouldn't have been because maybe a couple crucial, maybe you could say bonehead penalties, undisciplined, maybe if you want to say it. But sometimes too, in the moment of the battle, or if like during a car accident, right? What are you trying to do? You're trying to protect yourself. Most of the time, people want to protect their face, right? That's where they make their money at. So not to give like an easy out or anything like that, but they're both going to the sidelines, and yeah, there was a little bit of a shove, but maybe that was just him instinctively thinking, let me get this guy out of the way, a little bit away from harm's way, or I don't think it was malice, if that makes sense. So
right.
Let's go around the table real quick. We're going to go to Aaron, David, and then Ty, and we'll come back to me. I want to get your guys' thoughts, opening statements of the game, and how do you feel? Because if you don't see me, I mean, I am literally like levitating out of my seat right now. I am like, and Ty, you were actually at the game, but let's go to Aaron. Aaron?
Awesome opening weekend. I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm a negative person by nature. I'm a New Yorker, so that's just my mindset. I'm always like expecting the worst, hoping for the best. Especially with football. We've started slow the last couple of years. We come out slow out of the block, and then we have to have these like miraculous season turnarounds, right? So I didn't think we would necessarily have like a slow start to the season, but I thought this game would be difficult. I thought it would be a litmus test. I thought it would be a game that like, hey, if we're close in the third quarter, we got a shot type game. I had no inkling that we would come out there and smash these dudes, and it wasn't really even a contest. Other than the drive where we pretty much gave them yards from penalties, they really never threatened the final score. I mean, with any game, we always have that mindset of like, okay, Kyle, was part of one of the biggest Super Bowl chokes. So there's always that feeling of when do you take your foot off the gas, and when do you start to rest guys and bring guys out of the game? So I'm always at an uneasy place just because of that situation. However, to me, I hate to get overly excited and not see the bigger picture, and hopefully not, we end up getting disappointed in the end. But man, awesome start. Brock Purdy, we can all take shots at him for his size and whatever. He played well. Brandon Ayuk played well. Christian McCaffrey played well. There was other players. I'm not going to go everywhere, but I'm just saying, like, I was pleasantly surprised, and it gives me a way different, more optimistic feeling about the weeks going forward, just based on who we're playing and how I think we're better than some of the teams within the next, 3 to 4 opponents that I think, if all goes right, we should be, unbeaten going into maybe the game with the Cowboys, maybe. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Good, David.
Well,
Your
let's
turn.
continue on the vibe, right? And then we'll get to that question. David, what's your vibes after Pittsburgh week 1? We survived, right? We survived the storm.
I was not expecting this. I was not expecting to destroy the steel curtain. I wasn't expecting to walk in there and just walk all over the Steelers. I was expecting them to put up a fight. I was also expecting a score victory. And we just went in there and punched them in the face, the gut, picked them up, threw them over the wall. I mean, we had our way with them. And it's like I could get used to this, Right. I could get used to this. So it was nice to see a full team effort. We did have 11 penalties though, and we gotta clean that up, especially against the higher level teams that we will be playing this year.
Mr. Ty Austin,
Yep.
What's your thoughts? How do you feel? Somebody, I think I heard correct. Somebody said you were actually at the game. So what's your thoughts being able to be there live and see that massacre happen in person?
I have a quick question, Ty. Did the Steelers fans use their terrible towels to soak up their tears?
They did. Yeah, right around third quarter. So I was there at the game. The vibes are high, right? It's like this is 49er football. This is what we've waited all summer to see, right? To see these guys back on the field doing their thing. And it's like they picked up right where they left off from last year. When you say any drop off anywhere, everything looked the same, looked clean, except for those stupid penalties. But the vibes are high. This is the team we wanted to see. I was on the visitor sideline, and I tell you, they got real quiet real quick. Yeah, they couldn't believe what was going on. So, hey, that's what happens when you go up against us, right? We bring you to a quick reality check. But it was just great to see the guys out there, the return to football, 49ers football at that. The vibes are definitely high, and yeah, we're looking good. And by the way, quick recap. Aaron, you predicted the score would be 34-28. Bryant, you had it at 32-27. David, you had it at 23-20. And I predicted it would be 34-13.
So you were...
Randy had it super close at 21-19, Randy Daytona. So yeah. I was the closest in terms of margin, but we all were around that 30-point threshold. We knew the offense would put up points. Except for David, he didn't think so.
So this game was, again, it was one of those unexpected things because it doesn't necessarily happen to us all the time. We'll have some beatdowns, and there's been some beatdowns in the past and in our history, of course, that we're that's why we are the 49ers, and people are like, wow, you guys are really tough team. But then we went through a long time where we've had to really, really struggle and I don't know, kind of take our man card back, I guess. There's been a couple of times where we just totally got dominated, and it's nice to be on the opposing side. It's not fun to be insulted or embarrassed in front of your home crowd, and I don't think that was what the Niners mentality was. But I think when we went into this game and we were just a little bit more physical from the gate, I don't think the Steelers were quite ready for it. There was a point in time when you did see the defense actually having like a defensive meeting on the sidelines. And I don't know what was said, I can imagine, but that doesn't typically happen week one, does it? So, Aaron, I know you got a bunch of questions, so we're going to give everybody time to ask a bunch of questions, but I want just to kind of get everybody's thoughts. It was 30-7, and with IU being a 12-point, point provider, and CMC being a 6-point provider, and my guy, or all of our guys, Jake Moody coming in with a whopping 12 points. Always tell the whole picture. So if you want to, mention somebody else that's not actually a point producer, but out of the team, who's your MVP for this game?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Bubba.
Well, I don't do fantasy. At least not when it comes to football. But anyways, geez, an MVP for this game. Man, there's a lot of game balls that give out yesterday. I know a lot of people think I'm going to go Brock Purdy, but I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey. I think he's that guy. He is him.
As they say. Yep.
He is when healthy, he is as dangerous as there is a player in the NFL. And he's on the right team with the right coach, with the right scheme, surrounded by the right players to really just kind of do his thing. And because the Niners have so many other weapons, any one of these guys at any given time in any given game could be that guy. But he was just fantastic yesterday, running the ball. That touchdown in the third quarter essentially iced the game.
Yep.
And that was him. And then, all the great blocking by the guys on the receivers, but he's my MVP. He could have gone a different direction. I thought Brock played solid. He had the fumble, a couple fumbles, but a lot of that had to do with pass protection. But if I had to pick one guy, I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey.
All right. So I like that. He had 22 carries, 152 rushing yards. His average was 6.9 yards. So if you're getting almost seven clicks every time you touch the ball, right? That's no wonder, right? So since Brock Purdy and CMC on the team, we haven't lost. We have not lost a game where they both have been on the team and finished the game. He had one touchdown, a big 65-yarder, like you're saying, 17 rushing yards, one rushing first down, one reception for a first down, and 7 rushing first downs. So CMC is definitely a honorable mention, definitely somebody who should be considered potentially the MVP of the game. David, who's your MVP of the game? It doesn't have to be the top scorer, but points definitely matter. So what do you got?
Drake Jackson. I'm a defensive guy, buddy. Drake Jackson. My favorite all-time Niners, Ronnie Lott. You know that, though. So
how many sacks did Drake have?
3. Three sacks. Right. He was living in that backfield rent free. It was so good to see someone other than Bosa back there just creating havoc.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like Bosa, like this was a preseason warm up game, but he still played. He still played a lot of snaps. I think he played 30. Well, I saw at one point it was like 32 of 57, but that wasn't the end of the game yet. So, he played around 35, I think. Is that right?
Something like that. I just want to interrupt real quick and say, Ty, I saw you tweet yesterday about all this talk about we need to go get another edge rusher. And I was one of those guys that pounded the table for Yannick and all these dudes. And at least for yesterday, you're right, man. Maybe we don't need somebody. Maybe we got what we got and have what we need, or got what we need in the building. So I'm liking your line of thinking. I'm starting to buy into that. So I just wanted to say that.
I also saw Farrell back there a little bit too, so we might have a few defensive ends that can get up in there. You know,
remember Kerry Hyder got home at one point.
Mm-hmm.
It's that rotation.
Hargrave got a sack.
Yep.
Had 5 sacks overall. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely. We had a lot of noise in the backfield. We had a lot of push. Kinlaw was pushing the pocket, everybody. So, Ty, who is your MVPs of the game, or what's your honorable mentions?
Yeah, my offensive MVP was Brandon Ayuk. He was just play after play. It's just like when in doubt, throw it to Ayuk. And he was just getting wide open too. That first touchdown, I saw it. I was like, throw it to Ayuk. And he was just wide open. He put Patrick Peterson on skates. And even the Steelers fans was like 3rd and 5. They're like, he's gonna go to Ayuk again. They knew, they knew they couldn't guard him. They couldn't do anything with him, and he was just making play after play. So he's definitely my offensive MVP. Defensive MVP, I'm gonna go with Fred Warner. That dude was crushing yesterday. He set the tone.
Mm-hmm.
Whoo, that hit on Najee Harris. Whoo. I mean, he had some other hits, and then the coverage stuff he made, he almost had 2 picks. He should have had 2 picks in that game. Yeah. I mean, he was just flying around. You talk about the leader of the defense. Yeah. CMC is him on offense. Fred Warner is him on defense.
100%.
Yeah.
I think Fred Warner deserves an assist for that tip drill he had going on there.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Najee Harris's soul left the chat on that hit. Like if his body was a chat, we were, and his soul just trickled right. Bye bye, see you, dude. He didn't want none of that smoke after.
Gone.
You could hear that on TV.
Mm-hmm. I bet you could.
Got whacked.
That was.
And I'm not talking like how you doing. Like forget about it, whacked. I'm talking about he got smacked in the hole. That was nice.
That was real nice. That was an old school Ronnie Lott. Meet you, come downhill, meet you in the hole type of hit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So
wait, I got to give honorable mention, shout out special teams to Jake Moody. All the question marks about him, Willie. He just came in, was true.
Yep.
And was true.
I was worried like crazy.
I actually met Jake after the game. And I kind of joked with him. I said, "You're faking that leg thing, aren't you? You're pretty good today." He just smiled at me and was like, "Yeah."
Oh man.
I got a picture with him. I flubbed on that one.
Oh man.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Definitely like to meet him. A couple times I got to see him in the stadium. I tried to yell real loud and turn around and show him I got the jersey, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm the number 1 fan. That should be your mom.
I have a man crush on you.
We want to give you a high five, right? So Brandon Ayuk, he had 8 receptions, 8 targets, which is pretty cool. 129 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He averaged 16.1 yards a catch. It's like, whoa, 16. That's a first down every time, right? And he had 8 first downs, 8 receptions, 8 targets, 8 first downs. That just sounds great, don't it? So,
yep.
Wow, and then you look at Drake Jackson 3 sacks, Warner, Hufanga both had somewhat of a pick in the fourth quarter. Warner did have the drop. He should have had that, but I'd rather a player. I know this is gonna sound weird. You always want, when it comes to you want that guy to hold it and grab it, but sometimes it's bad if you intercept it in certain areas of the field. And I'm not gonna say that was the case, but to still get in there, deflect the ball, break up the pass, and continue to play sound football. Now, if they would have, like totally, just give up the rest of the way, then we'd go back and say, if you would have had that pick, but we don't have to say
Yeah.
that 'cause they kept
No.
playing. So, and then like real quick to go to Jake Moody, freaking Jake Moody, right? 3 for 3, right? Picks after touchdowns. And if you don't know what a kick after touchdown is, it's a PAT. It's point after try. They say it's a try because it's not always given, right? It's just like a 2-point conversion. You don't always convert. Then you have 3 for 3 field goals. And field goals, let's go back to PATs. If you don't know, PATs are worth 1 point. You score a touchdown, points. You kick that extra point, not extras. It's a 1-1. That's why we get 7 points. The 2-point conversion, that's how we can get 8 points. So he was 3 for 3 on his PATs. He was 3 for 3 on his field goals, and his longest was 41. I don't know, but what I heard was he was the first one on the field. And hey, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear somebody who's dedicated to their craft, getting out there and doing it. It was preseason, and if you look at, subtract the PAT, he went 2 and 2 in his in his field goal attempts in regular preseason. So I think the guy, if he's faking his injury, if he needed it massaged out, rubbed out, paused, whatever you want to say, hey, get the cramps out now and let's get to work. But we are good enough right now. We don't need to rely on our kicker. We are a good enough team where our defense can score and our offense can score. So what I'm saying that, I have a lovely wife, and I think you all know her. She brought up a great point today, and it's a neat stat. Out of all the games that Brock Purdy played last year, by a drum roll, this game, week 1, against Pittsburgh, was his highest rushing. So I'm not saying he's going to, start rushing and running around like Mike or anything. But if he's got that swag in him and he can move around a little bit, I am going to be very, very, very pleased. And some people say he looks like Joe Montana. Some people say stop that. Some people say he looks like Patrick Mahomes, and then they get massacred. I'm not going to say anything like that. If he can move around like Steve Young in the backfield, hey, who could beat us, right? So, again. So, all right, Aaron, let me give it to you. Ask any question you want for the panel, and then we'll go to David. But everybody will answer your question before we move to the next person. So, I know you've been on a couple shows today. You've gotten to talk. You've gotten to hear other people's thoughts. So, what do you got for this?
I just want to real quick say that Aaron Rodgers got hurt in that game, and they bring the card out for him. So, just letting y'all know, the Jets season might be over before it starts. My question to the panel. My question to the panel is, was this game an aberration, or do you see some long-lasting positive things to draw from it? We had the the pass protection issues that we kind of all thought were going to happen, and they kind of showed their way. But for the most part, everything was positive. Based on yesterday's performance, and I'm talking both offense and defense, is this a sustainable, I don't know, collaborative effort on both sides of the ball, or is it fool's gold? I personally always like to wait a little bit, but from what I watched yesterday, nothing that the 49ers did or had happen seemed fluky to me at all. I didn't feel any flukiness, like they got lucky. I just thought the Niners were the better team talent-wise and the better team coached, even though, their coach has a Super Bowl championship. So I'll go to any of you. What do you think it's sustainable?
Go ahead, Brian. You go
100%.
first. 100%. Oh, David took it. Go ahead, man.
100%.
Go, David.
I honestly think we could get better. The whole 11 penalties thing. If we play a cleaner game, we can literally do better than we did yesterday. And considering, our schedule is a little tougher than last year, we're going to be playing some, top level teams. So here we go,
Yeah, I agree with you, David. What we saw yesterday was 49ers football. It was what we saw last year, right? During that run, during that long stretch. every man doing their job. Wasn't anything flashy except for the big CMC run, but even that was kind of a grind. It was through the hole. He had to spin and you lose a guy, and got some great breaking, blocking downfield. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't any huge passes. It was short stuff and yak. Brock buying time, using his moxie to make things happen. Makes a play here and there. That's what we need. Keep the chains moving. It's totally sustainable. It was 49ers football on all three phases. So, do I think it's sustainable? Yeah, I really do. I think we can ride this throughout the season. And as David mentioned, get even better. Because the drive they scored on, we gave them what, 30, 40 yards of penalties on that drive?
Yep.
It was ridiculous. That last Phantom PI at the end, I don't even know what that was.
Garbage.
That was the refs like, we got to give them something because they're getting destroyed out here. The refs had some money on the game or something because that was terrible. But we can definitely sustain this because it was pure, just fundamental 49ers football.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we need to succeed.
I definitely see it consistently happening as long as we don't have any major setbacks because of an injury. But there's already a formula for this team. We already know how to win. The players have bought into this situation. They know the culture. They like the culture. They got everything they want right now. They know the window. They've even said it. The window is getting closer and closer to being closed. They want it now. And when you've been so close and you can taste it, you can smell it, but you can't really touch it because it's not yours or whatever, right? This is this year. So they're going to go by any means necessarily. I see them sustaining drives, putting away teams. And at this point, I said 15-2. I didn't predict us to lose this game on my pick'em sheet because I don't like rooting against the Niners. But I have been saying all year that the Steelers are going to be a hard game. They weren't as hard as I thought they were going to be. And if that's it, right, I mean, like you could say,
big pause.
but they were what we expected them to be, and it's just, oh my gosh, right? Who else? The Seahawks. The Seahawks don't look scary anymore. The Rams don't look scary. The Cowboys can be, but who did the Cowboys play? A division opponent that they normally beat up on. So, I mean, if we go and rout the Rams 50-something points, I don't think we're going to be able to pound the table like we can for this game. The Rams and us, we know each other very well. So, yeah, I definitely see it happening more and more, Aaron, and continuing to happen throughout the season. We might have a couple games that are a little bit closer in score, but I see the Niners handling business.
The Steelers are a tough team to play at home.
They have a lot of good players on defense,
and they got So let's not overlook the fact that we played a tough team on the road, right? That was a tough team for us. Opening weekend, we know week one is like their Super Bowl at home. That's just something they gear up for every year. Don't lose at home. We took care of business.
We're a trend crush. We destroy trends.
Destroy trends, baby. What number one thing why I think this is sustainable, to go back to Aaron's question, is because this isn't 2019. These guys aren't young anymore. Remember, they were all in like their first, second year. Bosa was a rookie then. Like, all those guys are young. We're now years later. They've been close, so much. And they're vets now. They're seasoned vets. They know what it takes.
Yep.
So they got it in their hearts and their minds of what needs to happen to get this thing done.
Yep.
And like you said, that's on their mind. They know that window is shrinking. Like, even though we got all this cap room and stuff, guys are starting to get older. Trent's up there. He wants one, right? They're going to drive this thing all the way.
I said that on the show with Breezy today, Ty. I said that I just feel like this team has this callus now, this experience of going through all this tough stuff, that they know exactly what it takes to
Yeah.
do it. Now, whether they
Spot
do it
on.
this year, we don't know. Things happen, right? But
Mhm.
last year, up until that NFC Championship game, there wasn't a whole lot of resistance. And until Purdy got hurt.
Yeah.
And to double down on Purdy, he made some throws yesterday that were kind of impressive. I know he doesn't have a
Mhm.
huge arm, and a lot of his stuff looks like it kind of just takes a while to get there. But he had
Yeah.
he had a nice one over the middle to Ayuk. He had that touchdown pass to Ayuk in the end zone, that fade route. That was a nice throw. Again,
Mhm.
not
Yep.
there's not a lot of power behind it. Everything's kind of
No.
like a slow delivery. But Brock, listen, man, Brock is what the 49ers need. He is what Kyle Shanahan needs. He's not what every other team needs. And I know a lot of people, they want the measurables. Like I was
Mhm.
talking on Twitter, I said, listen, look at Justin Fields. He has everything that Brock doesn't. But what
Yep.
Brock has is between the ears. He doesn't have that. And that's the difference. If he had that, all-star, all-time quarterback, arm, legs, can see the field. Sometimes it's the little scrawny guy like a Drew Brees or a little half-size quarterback that has none of the physical traits, but they have the mental stuff. And sometimes that's all it takes. So I think it's very sustainable. Do I think they're going to win every single game? No. Do I think they could win a lot of games this year if they play like this? Absolutely.
Drew Brees used to say, I'm just a little guy with a bum arm, but I know football.
He was very smart, very heady.
So sometimes to be a quarterback, hey, that may be all you need. You just get the ball to the open man, right?
Yep.
Execute the offense.
Yep.
That's what he does.
I know it's a 49er show, but we are all pretty knowledgeable about sports. And I think Drew Brees got overshadowed a little bit with LaDainian Tomlinson being there and them saying, oh, this guy just hands the ball off. You got to have a little bit more in your noodle up here, than just you got to have a little bit more than a noodle arm too.
He's one of the greatest of all time, Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I think when he had his surgery and he went to New Orleans, they cast him off. They thought, oh, let him go there, and but he came out with Sean Payton, and they really turned that city upside down after the hurricane and everything. So, it's weird how certain things like that kind of work out because Philip Rivers was supposed to be that quarterback that could take him to the promised land. And sure, he had a big arm and had some weird throws. He could make almost any throw, but his throwing motion was just maybe not the prettiest one to look at. But he kept them into the playoffs. He really did, but he couldn't get them. Maybe it was Tom Brady. Maybe it's Big Ben. I don't know. There's a lot of other FC teams that held him back. But when you had that good of a team, and I'm not saying Philip Rivers was the reason they didn't get it done, but we did see Drew Brees make it to the Super Bowl, and so it's just a little weird. Sometimes you just have to get a different scenery, different change, So, hey, David, I know you seen the game. We were actually talking a little bit when me and you started actually streaming with Corey there for a short period of time. So if you guys didn't know, David did a really good play-by-play yesterday with Corey, and held his own for a while. So it was really nice. I was sitting there in the background because Corey was gone. But then I got in and, my TV's in a different room, so I had to run in and out. It was a lot of fun if anybody wants to go back and watch. But David, what's your thoughts and what's your questions for the panel today? And then we'll give it to Ty. But what would you like to ask us?
Well, so at this point, we saw Colton McKivitz give up 3 sacks, and I'm kind of giving him a break because TJ Watt's one of the top 3 edge rushers in the league.
TJ Watt, yeah.
But should we be concerned moving forward if this becomes a thing? Or, what do you guys think? We did free up a bunch of cap room, and no one but our brass knows why. No one. And we won't find out why until after they use it. So, and that's just the fact. That's how they do it. So what do you think, Aaron? Should we be concerned about McKivitz?
I am a little bit, to be honest with you, especially with Brock being, injured last year and he's not a big guy. Hell, that shot he took in that game, if that was Trey Lance, Trey would have gotten rocked too. It didn't, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't have mattered who was the quarterback. Dude got smacked. Okay. Yeah. Hell, I mean, if the Niners could make a move for a right tackle at some point, and if they needed to, I would do it. I don't want to get to the point again where we have a quarterback go down because of injury because of bad offensive line play. Now I know it was a tight end that allowed the sack in Philly. I know that. I understand, but I don't know. I need to wait and see a little bit because, like you said and Ty said, it was freaking TJ Watt. He's freaking tastic, dude. If Bosa's 1, he's 1A. And then you got the guy from the Browns who's right up in there too. I always forget
Myles
his name.
Garrett. Yep.
Myles Garrett. Like
Myles
those guys are like premium top of the line edge rushers.
Yeah, that's top shelf stuff.
It's tough, man. Like I don't want to overreact with us being good, just like I don't want to overreact on the offensive tackle yet. But man, that wasn't exactly if you were going to go based on one appearance and one showing, he definitely got a failing grade during that game. He played poopy. That was bad. He almost got his quarterback killed. I don't know. He looked good in the run game, but as far as pass protection, not so good.
Yeah, we
gotta
see him.
Sorry, Ty.
Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
I gotta say, it was kind of a wash. If you hold up that many times in a, boxing ring, right? You're gonna get punched. The other dude's gonna get punched, but he was still standing there for a good portion. And it wasn't really until our defense give up the penalties and then allowed them to score. And then they had their meeting on the sidelines, like, you guys are, come on, whatever the coach said. So at that point, that's when the stuff started happening where, Brock Purdy had 3 sacks, TJ Watt, of course, but TJ Watt, that's a household name. If we had TJ Watt, no one would be mad at all. We'd definitely make sure the power is paid and all that, because, I'm just saying. But yes, he did have that forced strip, like fumble or whatever you want to call it, where Brock kind of, landed on it. But who else right now are we, we can look into the season coming up, the future, right? We don't have too many players like that we have to, be worried about too much, right? We got the Cowboys coming up, we got the Browns coming up, and then from there, I think if this guy can hold up, we'll definitely know by week 4. We're going to be playing the Cardinals, I think, by that time, and then the Cowboys. So if we can survive, this guy just might make a lot of noise and make people happy. And of course, we always have to have somebody to pick on. So right now, this is our guy we're going to pick on.
Yeah,
but I don't think we're going to go after an offensive tackle, even though we want to scream and say it. Because at this point, as long as Brock Purdy's upright and he's healthy, we don't need another quarterback, right? We don't need an offensive tackle. But just as soon as our quarterback gets hurt, we got all that money. Now we can go and get somebody, right? We can get somebody out of retirement, and I'm not going to say these names, but we can do a lot of stuff with money. So at this point, yeah, they have enough money to sign an offensive tackle and another quarterback if something happens. But I think they're rolling the dice. I think they're trying to say, hey, we're the Niners. We're all here. We've been together for a while, and we believe in each other. And I know a lot of people are saying they'd like to see the guard and the tackle flip. But right now, I think they're really confident in Colt McKivitz. And so I'm gonna do it too. I'm gonna believe in it. I'm gonna jump on the train right now. And if I have to, jump off next week, then you'll hear me next week. But right now, I think we're in good shape.
Other than the penalties, we never heard Burford's name in a negative way. He made some mistakes. It's the first game of the year.
Yeah.
There's always room for improvement. Other than that, you never saw him getting blown up in the backfield or getting his freaking lunch handed to him.
Nope. And on that CMC run, he had 2 blocks on that run. He hit the defensive end and then got to the second level and got a second guy.
He's a big boy, man.
That is a big boy
large,
who can move.
Him and Aaron Banks are not small guards. Considering the type of offense we run and how we want guys to be mobile, they're still pretty damn big. It's so hard to pause. It's so difficult to really take anything from one game. It's just there's not enough. There's a lot of 49er fans out there that are focusing on the negative right now. I'm telling you guys right now for a fact. Just go on Twitter. I mean, they are just like, we didn't beat anybody. If you look at the game, so and so didn't really do all that much. It's just like they're downplaying everything. I'm kind of, for a negative guy that I am, I'm kind of more in the positive. I see it like you said, but I know we're not talking about this anymore, but I see a lot of sustainable stuff. Nothing seemed fluky yesterday. There was no lucky, like, oh, you got lucky on that one. No, everything was well earned. We got a lot of talent. We have great coaches. This season's outcome depends on the players. They will decide. This is a put up or shut up time of year type of season because we have all the horses. So
yeah. David, to answer your question, Banks. McKivitz. I'm not worried about him. If Watt didn't start that game, and his backup was in there, and you didn't see any pressure, you didn't see anything. Watt finally got in there, and he was juiced. He was ready to go. So he had a little extra motivation in there somehow. But even then, we know McKivitz gave up the pressures and the sacks, but it wasn't like every play. I could see if he was getting blown up and dominated on every single snap, but that wasn't the case. And like you said, he's TJ Watt. Like the Bosa's, he comes from good stock.
Mm-hmm.
He's that guy. He just got paid last season, right?
Defensive player of the year. Two of them. Back to back.
Exactly. So let's not act like, he was out there. McKivitz was out there going against Joe Schmo. That's a household name. And what a way to start the season against a guy like that. Now, the hope is that he learns from that, grows from it, right? Improves so that later on down the line, when he's facing the Micah Parsons and the guy from Cleveland, now I forgot his name, and I even said it, Myles Garrett's.
I always forget his name for some reason.
He'll hold up and be better. But for game one, out the gate, going against an all-pro defensive player of the year, okay, I know you're going to have your struggles there. All righty, it's okay.
Something I noticed is when TJ got back there and got to Brock was in the shotgun, taking a 3-step drop from the shotgun. So TJ Watt had the opportunity to go around McKivitz, not through him.
Sure.
Every time he had to try to go through him, McKivitz was winning.
Yeah.
But when he could go around him is when McKivitz was having issues.
Yeah, he was definitely beating him with some speed, just like you said, going right around him.
Somebody in the comments made a good point.
That,
Somebody in the comments made a good point about they never offered any help to McKivitz during that game. They never chipped or gave him anything. So, I mean,
that's true.
Even the best out there play some big boy football.
I know McGlinchey got help before. You know what I mean? Like, I'm surprised they didn't say, "Hey, you know what? We don't want to get our quarterback injured. Let's go put Charlie Warner or whoever over there and give them a little extra time." But they didn't do that. So I don't know. Maybe they think he's just got to work through it. A little growing pains. Yeah, it was. And Randy Tatona has a good comment in the comments. He says, "Has Josh Allen's big arm gotten him to a Super Bowl?" No, it has not. So
nope.
Overrated.
Got him pretty close. And
close is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades, like I said.
He should have won that KC game. His defense. Yeah.
How do you give up a touchdown with 35 seconds, man? Really?
It was less than that. Wait, I mean, they gave up the field goal. What was it, like 9 seconds left on the clock?
Oh my God! I know.
Terrible.
Yeah. As Charles Barkley would say, that's just terrible.
Terrible.
That is the scare. That is like the one thing that people will always say about Brock Purdy is how far he can throw, or can he get us down the field in this many seconds and stuff. And I think in the right circumstances he can. But I also think that is it fair to compare Brock Purdy's arm to something like Jeff Garcia?
Yeah, Garcia didn't have a huge arm.
Yeah,
no, but he had T.O. And T.O. did pretty good. And T.O. If it was just T.O. or whatever, but Garcia made 3 Pro Bowls?
Yeah.
So I can see it happening. And Montana didn't have the big arm either.
Nope.
But I'm not old enough to really tell you.
Montana was insanely accurate. And he had a good enough arm. He could hit.
He had
He
a
could
good
take some
enough arm. He could,
like it was definitely
Yeah.
stronger than Brock's, but like Montana's thing that always separated him from a lot of other quarterbacks who had way bigger arms like Marino, and Marino was pretty accurate too. Montana was extremely accurate. Catchable ball. Rarely do you see guys having to turn around and get smacked by somebody because the ball's behind them. Like Brock, that little whirling dervish he did in the pocket where he spun out real quick.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Being a small guy like that, it's a bad thing, and it's also a good thing. He got away from that pressure. Yeah, the throw to Debo was kind of inaccurate. It was very inaccurate, and Debo had to stretch out for it. But
stretched out, yeah.
Yo, when you got a quarterback that can extend plays and just make, chicken salad out of chicken blank, it's nice. He like that run that he had. They thought he was going to throw it. His little noodle arm. They thought he was going to toss it over the top, and instead he ran. He got a first down. So like, hey, listen, man. To me, you know what Brock is? He's like a discount store. Patrick Mahomes, like you order something from Amazon thinking it's one thing and you get it's a different thing when you get it through the mail. But listen, for this, like I keep saying, for this offense and for what we asked him to do, he's the right guy. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
it's over with. We can't change nothing.
Yeah,
so everybody stop complaining.
Wait.
Oh no, but that will be the argument. That will be his, forever over his head. He can't throw so far. Well, okay, but a Super Bowl. I definitely, I believe.
I was going to say two things. Montana had an above average arm, younger in his career, but he had two things going for him that set him apart. This is the thing that made him elite. One was the timing of his throws.
Mm-hmm.
He can see a guy even getting open, and he could time that thing and put it up to him on time. So he got that ball out early enough on time to when the guy was breaking open, it would be there.
Yep.
That was one. Two, he could throw a guy open. So like there was plenty of times where he made this throw with like two guys, it would be a receiver and a DB would be running stride for stride with him, and Montana would just lead him away from the DB, just throw him open just that little bit. He was a master at it. So like if Brock can pick up a trait like that, just one of them, just the timing or throwing the guy open, sky's the limit.
I think
to go along
like
with
I
his
said,
accuracy.
Yeah. Like I said, I think he's pretty accurate, but he can always get better. I mean, I'm sure you can improve a little bit of arm strength, but it's I mean, we got a long season, so who knows, right, guys?
Whatever. This is only the ninth
one
game.
I know we didn't win a championship.
Game, yeah.
We didn't win the championship, so we all need to chill out.
We just won one.
Hey, Sentinel.
Thanks for coming
What's
through,
up,
buddy.
man?
Hey,
Appreciate you.
That's an old school freaking sub of mine who now has his own channel. Like, dude, I think David, Brian, and Sentinel are probably, I'd say, first year subs. Has to be. Like, I remember Sentinel's thumbnail. It's always been the same. Like, I remember him way back when I used to just do audio videos and didn't show my face. Like, that's wow. That's Craig.
So Sentinel just recently subscribed to my channel, and if you do me a solid, I know Ty and David would do you a solid. Just subscribe to Ty Austin's channel. It's on my Twitter. Yep. It'll be in the descriptions later. Same as David McNiner. Aaron, you already know Aaron. If you know Aaron, I know Aaron, right? So this would be my
for good or for bad.
Well, honestly, Aaron, you've said a lot of stuff over the years that I may or may not have agreed with, but you've said enough where I like you and I keep coming back to hear you, and I think a lot of people, if anybody gives anybody enough time, they're going to understand somebody's personality a little bit, maybe not, completely, but I have a lot of dry humor, and I think as time goes on, people understand that. But this is my final question because it's almost an hour, and we like to keep the shows to about an hour, guys. If we are super juicy and we'll go longer, but for the most part, we try to keep it nice and short, right? The Patrick was it Patrick Peterson? What was his last name? It's Peterson, right? I don't.
Patrick Peterson.
Mhm.
So the pass that went to him, that it was Brock Purdy thrown to Debo, right? That one almost got picked, if I'm correct.
Mhm.
I got a feeling. I just got a feeling if it would have been Ayuk thrown instead of Debo, I don't think that happens the way it happens like that at all. I think Debo, great player, doesn't have the best hands like Ayuk. I think Ayuk would have put himself in position to box out the other player. I really do. I think Debo thought he was faster, but and he wasn't expecting Peterson to undercut him the way he did. But
Yeah.
I kind of I don't know, guys. Like I'm really, really happy that Brock, challenged him, and he don't have fear. He doesn't have fear of any player out there because he knows what he's confident and capable of doing. But I kind of think that Debo could have been a little bit better of a wide receiver in that play. If, in my humble opinion, what's your guys' thoughts? We'll start with Aaron.
He has a very small catch radius. He's kind of short armed. I would assume he doesn't have the biggest hands. If you look at Ayuk's he's just about 6 foot tall, but he's got massively long arms and he's got some mitts. You know what I mean? So like, with a play like that, you could essentially throw it ahead of him and he could snatch it. With someone who runs patterns like Debo, everything is so compact with him that you got to be insanely accurate and put it on him because he just isn't built to reach out for things. And I saw that on that play. That's just me. I mean, like I was always a fan of the big receiver. I don't know if me and Ty are on the same age.
Yeah.
But like, like when the Niners had JJ Stokes and Terrell Owens and Rice, and I think it was a Awazate, maybe Ty Streets. They were all big.
Big, yeah.
I like bigger receivers. Like I was watching the game yesterday with the Dolphins, and they were playing the Chargers. The Chargers have massive receivers.
Yeah.
We're like 6'3" plus. I think if he's 6'3", he makes that catch. But because he's kind of a little squashy guy, maybe that was the issue. He let it get in on his body instead of doing that thing. So I don't know.
So like you bring up before we go to David, that's good points because if you look at and I'm not gonna say this is my I didn't coin this, okay, but I've heard it and I agree. Debo has like T-Rex arms, and Ayuk has like pterodactyl arms. His wingspan is just like right.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to be much taller, but his arms are just like he. So, David, what's your thoughts? Do you think Debo could have done better, or do you think Ayuk would have outperformed? What's your thoughts?
I think Ayuk would have boxed him out and snatched the ball. Debo.
Yeah.
If Ayuk has what'd you say? What dinosaur are you calling out there? Pterodactyl arms, and then Debo has T-Rex arms. It's kind of like
right, little arms.
But yeah, honestly, I kind of think that Brock might have done that to kind of troll Patrick Peterson too, because Patrick Peterson did, put it out there. Oh, we're going to get 2 picks off him, and Brock Purdy's response was, "We'll see."
Throw 2 touchdowns on your ass. That's what we'll do.
Directly on you.
On you. What's funny too is you guys talk about T-Rex arms. I'm about 6'3", right? I have for my height, I do not have super long arms, and it sucks. Like I have arms that kind of sit out like this, so it's like really. When I see someone like Ayuk, I'm like, how the hell does a guy that height, like, why do you have those arms? Those just should be my arms, and instead I've got the Debo body where it's just like everything's out to the side. So yeah, that's funny. That's so funny that like he's just so squashy looking. He's such a good player when you get him the ball in space.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like wide receiver skill, just straight up wide receiver, and this is why teams pay guys certain things and don't want to pay them other things, as far as like, I don't want to pay you as a wide receiver because we don't think as a wide receiver you're such this and this. But as a playmaker or an offensive weapon, that's what he is. So Yeah, like I totally think if IU gets in there, even Juwan Jennings, even though he
Mhm.
has a little bit of the dropsies, he's massive, you know. So
Exactly. He's that big receiver,
yeah,
6'4", 6'5", right? Yeah,
those are my
and
favorite.
that's the difference between Brandon Ayuk being wide receiver number one and Debo being just playmaker number one.
Yeah,
Like he's
like a Percy Harvin essentially.
exactly like Ayuk is built like a receiver. He acts like a receiver. He knows how to box guys out, come back to the ball, snatch the ball out the air like a receiver, right? Debo is just a football player. He's just a playmaker, right? And you can tell one guy played running back as a youth, one guy played receiver. So, and that's the way they're built.
Yep.
So, yeah, if that's Ayuk out there, that play is totally different.
Yeah, I just think not necessarily aggressiveness, but the skill at being a wide receiver. Not that Debo's a
Yeah.
bad wide receiver, not at all. But Ayuk kind of does know how to turn into the pass, and I think Debo, being confident in his, talents, didn't think that Peterson was going to undercut him and jump in front of the ball, and that's why I really truly believe that there should be asterisks on, or asterisks, whatever you want to call it. I sometimes I can't say words, but I try, and that's what matters, right? Because if you don't
Mhm.
try, then you just fail, right? So
Exactly.
you get back to it, and Ayuk Ayuk's really professional. I think he just has that in him where he knows, hey, if I let the quarterback down, then I'm letting the team down, and that's again
Yep.
why I think when you look at interceptions, you look at forced fumbles, you look at certain things, there should be like a little bit, like an asterisk next to it that says this is why it happened. And this isn't all on the quarterback, or this isn't, this is on the offensive line. Like, can we have like an offensive line fumble category or something like that? Like the center messed up. Like, this isn't on the quarterback, right? Like, but it's on the quarterback, right? Because he's the one who sells tickets and
Yeah.
his name's on, the whole stadium. So yeah, I definitely love to see more of a team effort, and that's why I'm really juiced about this game, is because I know we didn't maybe get all the stats that we wanted to see out of every player, but every player did their job. So
Yep.
my MVP, guys, is Jake Moody. He went 6 for 6. He scored 12 points. I understand Ayuk scored 12 points. I think he was a key factor. CMC, but I'm sticking with my boy Jake. And if you guys want to give a real quick around the table again, who you again, we already kind of said it, but it's almost been an hour. Everybody that's been here, please keep coming back. We rotate the channels. This is the Coast to Coast, Niners Coast to Coast. I like the name; it's a little catchy, and we're all going to be here. We're not the most negative, we're not the most positive, but we're going to be honest with you every time. So, thank you again for coming, Aaron. What do you have for your final thoughts?
The Rams game, I expect close game. I do think we're going to win. But I think with the division games, it's always weird. They'll be prepared. They're going to be in their place, even though it's our place. Their coach is a great coach. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. Say whatever you want. We can crap on the Rams all we want, but they still got a chip and we don't in recent memory. So I think it'll be a hard fought game, but I think the Niners in the end, just based on osmosis and by just the sure will of how great our players are, we win. And as far as the word asterisk, the way I break it down into two words, I put the word ass in front, and then you think of like a skanky girl. We usually call them tricks. So ass tricks. That's where you. That's how you break. That's when I have trouble saying a word like Tagovailoa. You literally have to say it slowly first. Tuga or Tagovailoa, because I usually screw it up all the time. So yeah, it's ass and then tricks. There you go. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah,
and I'm sticking to
that's
them.
why you guys got to keep coming back. Exactly. And, you'll hear little hiccups like that from me every once in a while. So, tune in because I'm human. David, what's your thoughts, man? I'm still pumped. What do you feel about this game?
The upcoming game or the Steelers game? Steelers game,
It-
I mean, we
anything,
dominated,
man.
but the upcoming game against, the Inglewood Rams and Levi's Inglewood, we are going to walk in there prepared. Look at what they just did to the Sea Chickens at Seattle. Now, I honestly think that McVay, does McVay have a winning record against Pete Carroll? I believe he does.
I believe he does. Yep. It's one of those things. He just has his number.
And when it comes to teams that they're actually putting on the field, our team is way better than what the Seahawks put on the field yesterday. So, we're going up against the Rams. We don't have to worry about the Cup hitting us in the face because he's not going to be in the game.
Nope.
I
More pressure on the
honestly
Niners,
think I think the Rams got nothing to lose, and that's what worries me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I do expect a close divisional battle, but maybe Jake Moody pulls it out of the end for the last second kick.
Brian likes that.
All right, Ty. What do you think? What do you think about the Steelers? What do you think about the Rams? What's your thoughts?
Steelers game was great. We went in there, handled business. That should have been a shutout. We gifted them points.
Exactly. Freaking garbage.
That
pissed me off.
Yeah, it's garbage. It's garbage. I'm glad they didn't give up more points in garbage time. And shows you they were playing with some pride. Like, all right, enough is enough. So I think this carries over into this next game. I think Seattle has been overhyped all off season. Like they played well at the beginning of last season, and at the end of last season, they faded. Geno Smith did not play well.
Nope.
But
100%.
for some reason, people forget that and just, Seattle's is up and coming and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
No.
They had a
And
great
I think
draft.
They went in there. Yep. I think they went in there, we're playing at home. We got the 12th man, overconfident. And Sean McVay had a plan for him and went in there and then whipped up on them. So I think the Rams going to come in a little overconfident. Oh, we beat the Sea Chickens. Well, we're not the Sea Chickens.
Nope.
This is totally different. And the faithful will be in that house rocking. They're going to have to go to a silent count probably. So I see us just continuing to do what we do. They're not going to say anything flashy, anything crazy. It's just going to be 49er football. I want to come away victorious. And fingers crossed, we come away with no injuries again.
Mm-hmm.
That was the key point to the whole game.
Yep.
Yes.
What did Deion say about what did Deion say when he went to Atlanta and the Niners beat him in that 94 season? This is my house.
My house.
This is our house. We run this, okay?
Exactly.
We were representing in freaking Pittsburgh. I couldn't believe how many 49er fans were there.
It was deep.
We travel. The freaking they don't look the Chargers. There was more Dolphins fans at that game than Chargers yesterday because I went and watched it with my brother after when the Dolphins scored it late and took the lead and all that stuff. I was like, I cannot believe how sad these California fan bases other than the 49ers are. They don't care about football. It's that's what made me more mad that the Rams won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Is just the fact that their fans don't even care.
Those fake fans, yeah.
They don't care.
Only time they showed up. Only time they were interested.
Yeah,
we're in the Super Bowl? Go Rams.
It really doesn't make any sense to me. Knowing people that live in LA for years, they've rooted for the Raiders or the Niners. When they moved to St. Louis, that was, hey, bye. It's like, bye, Felicia. You'll hear me say that a lot. I like that. It's kind of funny. That's how the LA Rams were, when you left. They had USC and they had UCLA. That was it. They had the Lakers and, they had Dodgers and the Angels. They've both been to World Series. The Clippers, nobody talks about the Clippers for reasons we all know. But the Lakers, they bring championships. So why do you have to even have an NFL team when, even your college teams are bringing championships? So, UCLA, Troy Aikman came from UCLA. We have Sam Darnold from USC. Matt Leinart. There's so many. Matt Barkley. There was so many quarterbacks that's been coming out of these cities, that city for such a long time. So for you to say, "Oh, we're going to bring football back," people are like, "We don't really care that NFL football's here. We already have what we have." So for them to try to pipe up and say we want to have 3 teams down there, and so they were going to bring the Raiders down there, but then the Raiders and the Seahawks and the Chargers, right? The Seahawks are already in our division, so they were going to swap the Chargers into our division because they didn't want the division to have. It don't make sense because we would still have the Rams and the Chargers in our division. They didn't want 2 teams to be in the same division at the same stadium. So it doesn't make any sense. It would have either went the Chargers and Raiders in the same division, or the Niners and the Rams and the Chargers in the same division. So it didn't work out the way they wanted it to. Why they let San Diego move away, I think that's horrible. I really, truly do. St. Louis had a good fan base, and why they let him move back. But it was really the owner who pushed for that because, again, we only know maybe 3 or 4 Rams content creators out there, right? There's not a whole bunch. When the Niners have maybe pushing 49 or more content creators, and the Rams only have like a handful, right? It just doesn't make any sense. And then the way the Super Bowl broke down, everything, the way it happened, just seems like, I'll say it, is the NFL rigged. I think we all can silently answer that. We don't have to say it out loud, but we still watch the game because we believe there's a chance, right? And this year, shout out to my little girl. This year is our year, guys. And I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much for coming. And we're gonna go ahead and end the show. And please like and subscribe. Check all of us out. We're all good buddies. We do things together. And the one most important thing is we're passionate and we stay faithful. Hey, Aaron, David, Tyson.
Hey, go Niners, and it's F the Lambs week.
That's right, baby.
All right, guys. We'll be seeing you again every Monday. We'll be coming back. All right.
We'll be on my channel next week. Don't forget.
Yep.
And we will remind you. We'll have the notifications out, so you guys just keep coming back. And remember, don't forget this face.